LPD 1041.
Signal 10 assistance.
Inside the Squad, presented by the Lafayette Police Department. To serve and protect is not just a motto, it's our mission.
Sending another unit.
Step it up.
Welcome back to Inside the Squad. We are starting season 5 off strong, talking about our college internship program. So this season, we bring you a new host, Sergeant Matthew Santerre. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you.
You want to start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, what position you have now?
Yeah, I'm the community outreach admin services sergeant. I came from nights. I spent basically all of my career on nights once I was released. So I'm adjusting to day shift life, but I'm happy to be here. I'm glad to be in outreach.
We're glad to have you here.
Thank you.
So also joining us is Carissa and Alex. You want to tell us a little bit about yourselves? Name, school, major?
Hi, my name is Alex Amado. I'm a senior at Purdue, double majoring in political science and law and society. I'm originally from the East Coast. I'm originally from Wilmington, Delaware, and I really just did this internship program because I was interested, and I still am interested, in going into law enforcement. And I heard so much great things about this, so I thought it would be a great way to get involved.
I'm Carissa Aiello. I'm also at Purdue. I'm a junior. I'm double majoring in law and society and mechanical engineering with a minor in forensics. And I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, but here for school and wanted to do the internship program to get some new experience.
All right, well, thank you again. We wanted to start off by talking about our college internship program because it has changed a lot over the years. Matt was actually an intern once, we'll get there, but it's changed. It's a really intense hands-on program now, and it's a great pathway if you're interested in becoming a police officer or a law enforcement career. So for you two, why did you apply for this internship specifically?
I had taken criminal justice over the summer with Chief Galloway, and he kind of gave me a tour of the department when I got back to campus after that summer and was telling me about the internship program, and it sounded like a really great experience. So I just signed up right there.
All right, awesome. What about you, Alex?
I had a similar experience last year in the spring when I was a junior. I was in his class, and he invited me out. He sent an email to all students and was like, if you want to come down to the PSC, I'll give you guys a tour. That same semester, I was also in Professor Coghill's Sociology of Policing class, and Sergeant Matthew and a couple other officers came and presented and was like, if anyone's interested in doing a ride-along, give your name. So I did that last April, and then after that, I put in my application.
What did you think this internship would be like before you started?
I don't really know. I kind of just went in hoping to get more information and knowledge about law enforcement and went in with an open mind. So I didn't really have any concrete knowledge of what I was expecting. I heard from Professor Coghill and Galloway that this was a great internship program, one of the best in the state and in surrounding agencies. So I kind of knew that I was going to get good things out of it, but I didn't really have a great concrete idea of what I was hoping or what I was going to expect.
Yeah, I definitely heard similar. Heard a lot of people have had great experiences here. All I kind of knew is like the rough outline of like ride-alongs and some classroom sessions. So I just figured it'd be a really good learning opportunity.
Okay, awesome. So Carissa, you've been here how long? A couple weeks now?
3 weeks, I think. It's the third week.
3 weeks. Okay, so you've started to come to see what LPD is about, yeah?
Yep.
What's the most exciting thing you've done right now?
Probably ride-alongs. I just had my first ride-along last Friday. I did it from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and that was really cool to get to see the night shift. That wasn't something I'd ever gotten to see before, so definitely a good experience with that. Excited to get
tell
more
us more about that. What kind of calls did you run into?
It's kind of a little bit of everything. Something as simple as just like disturbance that had to be taken care of, or potential stolen vehicles, things like that. So yeah.
Do they let you out of the car or do you stay in the car?
It depends on the call. So for calls that are more information gathering focused, I can come out and get to see firsthand. For calls that are maybe a little bit more involved, then I'll stay in and watch, and I'll have the radio on in the back so I can hear what's going on.
Okay. And what are you most nervous about?
I don't think there's anything I'm particularly nervous about. I'm more just excited to get to learn from a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
So, Carissa, you mentioned that you did an internship with a police agency before. Who's that with, and what was that like, and kind of how do you expect it to compare to your experience at LPD?
Yeah, so I interned with Miami Township Police Department back home in Ohio. And that one was over the summer, so it's a little bit different in structure just because of that. And a bigger focus with that internship was working with the DARE summer camp program. So that took up a lot more time, but I still got the ride-alongs and the classroom type experiences there. So I think compared to this one, I think this one's just going to be a little bit more involved and kind of building on those type of things that I learned there. And then definitely some more hours of ride-alongs for sure here. And then getting to spend time in dispatch as well. That was something I had gotten to tour it before, but I hadn't spent any extended time there.
Did you have similar expectations coming in, or, you said you didn't have a whole lot of knowledge before you started. The ones that you did have, how accurate was your experience with your sort of anticipated experience?
I guess they were pretty similar, but also not similar at all. I had no knowledge of law enforcement. I don't come from a law enforcement family, so this was my first time dipping my toes into the water. So I knew the experiences that I was going to get, but I had no idea to the extent of which I was going to get those experiences.
In a similar vein, was there a kind of, this is real moment for you, or a call or something that happened that made you feel that way?
I think going lights and sirens for the first time, going Signal 10, was definitely a moment where I was like, oh, this is real life. Yeah. The first time I saw a dead body, that was also a moment where it clicked, like, oh, this is real life. But I mean, every ride along, every shift, if something happened that I was like, oh, this is real life. This is real. This is exciting.
That's cool.
So it's definitely real life. Did you ever feel, I don't want to say in danger because you're always safe, but what type of boundaries do interns manage? I
think like Carissa was saying, I think it depends a lot on the type of call. And then for me, I found it depended a lot on the officer. If I was riding with an officer I had never rode with before, he or she was more safe with me, even if it was an information gathering call. But I rode with a couple officers multiple times, and after the first couple times, we kind of knew the routine we would get in, and they knew where I should be, and I knew where I should be. But every call varied. LPD responds to all different types of calls, so it really depended on the type of call and the location as well.
Typically, I had a lot of interns ride with me when I was an officer, and I always enjoyed that experience. Typically, for active calls that are active, if there's people actively fighting or something is happening, typically the interns will stay in the car until the scene has been stabilized. At that point, a lot of times we'll allow them out. They can sometimes participate in the information gathering or the interviews of the involved parties or things like that. And there's clearly set expectations and directives of, hey, stand back, stand over there, close enough where you can hear and observe, but not right there in the fray. So typically we as officers, when we're taking interns or any rider, we'll start the ride with here's the expectations. This is interns don't get out on traffic stops, things like that.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I know it can definitely be shocking going from what you see on TV to, whoa, this is real. You remember we had one intern faint when she saw a dead body a couple of years ago. Did you have any experience like that, Alex?
I did not faint. But I was shocked. I texted Matt about it. I was like, "Oh, I just saw my first dead body," and he's like, "Oh, yeah, it's a shocker."
Right. Yeah. So I think interning is really, if you're interested in a law enforcement career, an internship is perfect to actually like see the real world, know if this is for you or if it's not. So, Matt, let's switch it up. Matt, you run the internship program. Can you tell us what day to day looks like?
I do. So it's structured in the first 7 or 8 weeks is set up where we have kind of like classroom-ish sessions. We'll meet Tuesday and Thursday nights at 6 p.m. and each week will be kind of a different topic or a different presenter. So like this week we have somebody from dispatch talking on Tuesday, and then Thursday night there's somebody from the street crimes unit that's going to come in and talk about what the street crimes unit does. And throughout the first 7 or 8 weeks, we'll have that. So different people from different specialties like SWAT, or they'll come in and people from the different specialties will come in and they will talk about what they do. They'll show equipment. They'll show video sometimes, and they'll talk about how they conduct their operations, whatever it may be, whether it's detectives, CSIs, things like that. We'll also have some hands-on practice. I know that we'll do things like building clearing, some of these skills, these techniques that police officers will use. We'll let the interns participate, and they'll get some instruction in that, and we'll let them participate and kind of try it out. We'll show them the technique, and then they can try their hand at it and see how well they do. And so as part of that, they also get to spend time in dispatch. They'll sit at a dispatch station, and they'll be able to hear the calls that are coming in, and watch and learn from the dispatcher about how they do their job. Additionally, there's the ride along component is the biggest part of the component, where they'll spend most of their hours riding in a car with officers. They'll get a mix of, because we're open 24/7, so they'll get a good mix of daytime police work, and they can compare it to nighttime police work, and how those things differ, and they'll get a variety of perspectives, a variety of officers that they'll get to ride with and learn from.
So how many total hours is it? How many credit hours?
How many hours you got to get? 160?
120, I think.
120?
Yeah.
It seems every semester that every intern goes over their hours. They enjoy it, and they end up, we don't have like a cap on it. So so long as it's not too burdensome for the officers on the street or the department as a whole, we'll let them ride. And we've had interns get upwards of 300 hours.
Wow.
That's very, very dedicated. So that's kind of how it's structured.
Do you remember how many ride-alongs you did?
No.
Too many to count.
I made a spreadsheet so I could pull it up and figure out exactly, but I had a lot. I think I was halfway through the semester when I reached the total amount of hours.
Oh.
Wow.
But it's also different for us because so this is an internship class for Purdue. So people in the class will be placed at all different agencies in the criminal justice system. So from Indiana State Police to Tippecanoe County Sheriff's to the coroner's office to the courts here. So it's different for law enforcement because, like Matt said, LPD is open 24/7. So while someone who works in the court can only go in Monday through Friday 8 to 5, I did probably half of my ride-alongs weekend nights. So it's very different for LPD and someone who's being placed at a law enforcement agency, but just because you have twice as much time to do all your hours.
And what are the main things that you've learned at the internship, Carissa, that you've learned so far that you haven't or can't learn from the classroom, aside from real world experience?
I would say just that, there's always more going on than you think, looking from the outside. If you're looking at any law enforcement, event, interaction, anything, you're only seeing that one side from the outside. But when you can actually see it, from an officer's perspective, from dispatch, there's so much more going on that you have no idea about. And so getting to see that has been really, really cool.
Yeah.
So Alex, how did you like the breakdown between the classroom learning and the time in the field? Was the experience in the classroom learning from the guys that would come in and talk, Was it cool? Were you able to see that applied out on your ride-alongs, some of the instruction that you were provided?
Yeah, I thought the split was great. Something that's different about doing the internship in the fall semester versus the spring semester is in the fall semester, LPD hosts a citizen academy for the citizens of Lafayette and Greater Lafayette to come in. And it's basically what the internship program does, but at a much more basic level. So patrol officers will come in. They had canines come in. So our job there was not only to observe, but to also help out LPD where they need it. So that's different in for the spring interns. So they'll just get classroom session twice as much. But I thought the breakdown was great. Obviously, there were some Citizens Academy sessions where it didn't apply as much to interns as it did to other citizens. But I really did enjoy the classroom sessions, and then the hands-on stuff was also really interesting.
Sure. Yeah, I think the Citizens Academy is kind of a basic overview of the experiences that the internship will provide. So the Citizens Academy, they get 2 4-hour ride-alongs as part of their Citizen Academy participation, and they'll get some speakers as well that will talk about those topics and come in. But they meet once a week, and it's a sort of cursory overview of the department.
Yeah, and for listeners interested in the Citizens Academy, it takes place in the fall, so be sure to follow us on social media to register sometime this summer. That's a plug.
Good plug. So.
We've mentioned real world experience quite a few times. Can you tell me about scenarios like traffic stops, building searches? What type of hands-on?
Do you mean like in the classroom or like on the streets?
Like in the classroom. Like I know you did traffic stops with Switzer. Tell me about that. And
yeah, so one night for the Citizens Academy, towards the end, I think it was the last or one of the second, very near the end of the Citizens Academy, Sergeant Switzer, who's a night sergeant, came in and worked us through how officers do a traffic stop. So where they'll position their vehicle, how they approach the vehicle, talked about how officers can choose which side of the vehicle to approach from, what to look for inside the vehicle. So that was really interesting, especially for someone, like I said, who had no law enforcement experience. So to see that up close and how they really do that was also beneficial. And then seeing that replicated on the streets with the officers was really engaging. And just seeing how each officer did such a simple task very differently was very interesting to see. One of the other hands-on, I guess, experiences that we did was we did just the basics of building clearing. So we did that with Sergeant Shock, who's also a sergeant of Red Knights, and then a patrol officer, Jacob Bolte, and then was there another officer that was with us that night?
I don't remember.
Okay. So Bolte and Shock kind of walked us through how officers will search through buildings. So we used simulator rounds and learned the basics of maneuvering and how to clear hallways, how to clear doors, how to search for dead space, and just how to effectively search a hallway and know where you are in relation to other people in the building.
Was there a call or experience that ended up being a particularly good learning experience that you can recall?
I think I learned a lot on any shift. At least I made it my effort to, no matter what call we went on. I mean, some shifts were slow, some shifts were very quick and fast-paced, but I always tried to engage in conversation with the officers. But I think the first time a high priority call went out and to seeing other officers go to other officers when they needed backup was really eye-opening. And seeing that even though Lafayette is a fairly big department in terms of the area they cover, knowing that backup is very close it was heartwarming to see, because it makes you feel more comfortable on the streets, knowing that, like, if you need help, an officer will come and get you. So I remember one call, it turned out it was originally supposed to be like a check well-being or something, but I remember one officer went and checked it out, and it turns out the guy, I guess, had a firearm, so he put out on the radio, "I've won at gunpoint," and every single officer went towards him. And it was a quiet night, so it was like people had nothing to do, so people went out and helped. But it was heartwarming to see, and that happened multiple times throughout the semester. So it was really heartwarming to see people go for each other and protect each other.
Did this experience change how you view policing or public service?
I think it made it more human, just realizing that they're all people who are just trying to do their job and trying to stay safe, and knowing that if you need something, you can always ask for help.
Did you have a similar experience in Miami Township?
Yeah, we didn't really have any like super intense calls like that during any of the ride-alongs that I was on, but it is the same way where, if you need help, there will be somebody there. Like as soon as they can possibly get there, they'll be there to help out in any way that they can. Even if they have no idea, what they're walking into, they'll just be there. They'll figure it out with you, help you out.
Huh. Matt, you did this internship a long time ago. Do we want to discuss how long? I'm just kidding. How has it changed, or how's it different from when you participated?
It's a lot more interactive. It's been a long time, but I do remember back then it was, I guess the best way was more boring. I know that I spent 2 weeks in records, and I was sifting through paperwork, pulling files from we'd have a list of people that had passed away, and part of my internship was to dig through the old paper files and pull the files of the people that had passed, and so yeah, it was. Sort of what you think about when you think about a traditional internship where I wasn't quite going to get coffee, but it was, if there's like a task to perform that they needed boxes moved or something, there was learning, and we didn't ride-alongs, obviously. That was the most memorable part, and that remains unchanged. So it's a lot more interactive. We certainly weren't doing things like learning building clearing with some guns, and we didn't do any practice traffic stops, because what we'll do, and Carissa will see it's already scheduled for a few weeks from now, but Sergeant Switzler will come in, and they'll be role players, and then they'll be able to kind of step out of a police car, they'll flip the lights on, and they'll step out of a police car, and they'll make their approaches, and then we'll talk to them about controlling hands and various aspects of traffic stops. So we certainly weren't doing that back in the day. So it's much more expanded, much more hands-on. It's much more engaging now.
I know Matt touched on role players a little bit. Something that interns can also do is act as role players for the new hires. So as part of the 8 weeks of in-house for the new officers, they have to go through a couple, I think it's just 1 week of field days, and some of those require role players. So I was lucky enough to act as role players in certain scenarios out at the training center, and that experience was also really eye-opening, because it gave you a perspective as if you were the one they were responding to, and seeing how they were handling themselves, knowing that they were brand new officers. So that was also really eye-opening.
Yeah, role playing is always fun. You can scream at officers, cry, pretend to be dead.
Yeah. It's really engaging. We try to offer, if there are trainings, or if there are recruit trainings are happen to coincide with the internship, we'll make those opportunities available to the interns, and just let them know that these things are going on, and if we need role players, we'll reach out, and if they want to participate, it's kind of up to them how much they want to invest and how much they want to participate. We'll try to make those opportunities available as we can.
Because I remember I went to range week, or I went to a couple range sessions, at least with you, and then I also went to the monthly defensive tactics training.
Oh yeah, I forgot you were there. We just did more of that this morning. So,
So are there any calls or officers that you remember from your internship?
A couple. It's strange. I was talking to Lieutenant Prothero today because I remember he doesn't remember me from like my internship specifically. But I told him a funny story that I won't repeat here. But like I remembered about our time. Just like some of the like silly in between times I remember I didn't ride with Detective Savage, but I rode with somebody that was, how the cops will park next to each other. And Savage found a funny video on YouTube of, somebody singing Whitney Houston. That's a memory that sticks out to me. Like this is pushing, 15 years ago. So I like those little things stick out. I remember some of the calls that we went on to, but the camaraderie and the relationships, both that the officers had with each other, and that a couple of them remembered me. I remember, again, it's always like the silly stuff. So I rode with, he's now Chief Galloway. Back then he was Detective Galloway, and I remember he scolded me about my footwear. He indicated, because I had like some black tennis shoes on, and he told me that I needed to wear more appropriate footwear if I was going to be an intern. So I still remember that to today. So he doesn't remember that, but I do. So it's funny, like the weird stuff that also sticks out from the internship is like those interactions. So.
How big of a role do you think the internship played on you applying?
Huge, because like I said, several of the officers kind of remembered me from the internship, and the job that I had before. They also interacted with me there before, and so those relationships that I'd built with those officers, them encouraging me, hey, we got a hiring combine. Several of them would talk to me and be like, hey, I think you should apply. So the fact that they were encouraging me, and they thought I could do it, and I'm like, oh, maybe I can. Maybe I'll put it in and see how how it works out. So yep. I'm very happy that they did. So it's important to me. That's why I want to make sure that the internship program is well run, and that we develop those relationships with our the next group of folks that we're going to hire.
Yeah, definitely. And we hire quite a few interns.
Yeah, we've hired several in the last few years.
Yeah, isn't that great? Wink, wink.
So. Do either of you intend on maybe applying to LPD one day? Possibly?
Possibly.
March.
In March, all right. Carissa, so other students in your class have internships, like Alex talked about, at other agencies. In your conversations with your classmates, how are their experiences as compared to yours so far?
Yeah, so other people in my class, we have people working for law firms, we have people doing more social work. I know we have at least one who's in corrections. So it's kind of a variety of experiences. That's usually what we end up talking about during class. So I know a lot of them had onboarding and things like that took up their first week or two. So they just kind of get to see all the different, the continuation of kind of what starts here. Something might start here and then it goes to corrections and there might be a case, and now that law firm that somebody else is working at is handling that. So they get similar experiences in the sense that they're doing, real work along with the people who work there full time and getting those experiences there. I don't think there's anything specific that we've gotten to yet, but
okay. And so part of your internship, you spent time in dispatch last week or so. How was that experience, and what did you learn about dispatching that you didn't know before?
Yeah, it was a really cool experience. Got to hang out with Dave Hughes for the day, and had a headset so I could hear all the calls that were going on that he was handling. And I'd say there's just you never know what call is going to come through. There's a huge variety of things that you hear that are just going on. And I'd say one thing I learned was just how involved they are behind the scenes. So a couple of the calls had to do with power outage that was caused by something else that had happened before that shift even started, caused a power outage. And so we were getting calls throughout the day having to do with the power going back on, communicating with the fire department, communicating with Duke Energy and everybody, trying to coordinate everything to get that turned back on. And makes you realize that it's not just like, oh, we got one call about this and it's done for the day. It's like we were getting calls about everything throughout the day. So, yeah.
Okay. Alex, did anything you experienced challenge assumptions that you had when you came in?
I don't think it necessarily challenged, but it definitely changed the way I look at law enforcement. Carissa touched on this earlier, but you see a squad car drive by and you think nothing of it, but after being an intern, you have a different sense of knowledge and realize that there's so much more going on inside of that car. And I remember the first time I sat in a squad car last April with Officer Linder. He walked me through and just seeing everything and hearing what's going on the radio. It really gave me new knowledge and assumptions of what law enforcement is really like. It's more than just seeing an officer on the street. That's only half of it.
So who would you recommend this internship for? What type of person?
I think anyone that's interested in possibly going into law enforcement, or someone who just doesn't know anything about law enforcement and wants to get more knowledge and involved in it.
And for listeners out there interested in applying, Matt, how do they apply? What are the requirements?
So typically we'll operate most of the time. It's in conjunction with a college class for college credit. That's how we prioritize. There's the 423 class. Is 423, right? The 423 class at Purdue is where we get the majority of our interns. We've worked with Professor Coghill for years, and they'll get college credit while they're also interning with us. But we have a spot on our website. You go to the website, and there's a link for how to apply.
Okay. Well, before we wrap up, does anyone have any last minute notes?
No, I don't think so.
No?
I appreciate them for coming in. I'm excited for Carissa. It's good to see Alex again.
Yeah, good to be back here.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for joining us.